Jain children, I am Shiva Kumari, your biology teacher. Welcome to this biology class, and this is the first class in this new academic year 2021-22. In this class, we are going to study a new chapter which is coming under the unit first in our 12th standard textbook. And there are 4 chapters are there in that unit: sexual reproduction in angiosperm, sexual reproduction in human beings, reproductive health. And today we are going to study the second chapter in this first unit, sexual reproduction in angiosperms. We know that reproduction, it's an essential process in order to maintain the continuity of a species. Reproduction is of two types. They are asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved and there is chance of evolution is very less because only one parent is involved. There is no chance for mutation, no chance for recombination, etc. But in the case of sexual reproduction, 2 parents are involved, male and female parents are involved. So there is a chance for variation. As variation is present, there is a chance for evolution.
Here you can see the major differences between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction.
So sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction are the 2 types of reproduction. Of these 2, which is the best method of reproduction means sexual reproduction because it brings variation. For evolution, we need variation. So sexual reproduction is the best one. So in this chapter, we are going to study how flowering plants are otherwise called angiosperms. So how these angiosperms are reproducing sexually. Angiosperms have flowers. Flowers are the reproductive part of a plant.
The male reproductive part is called androecium and the female reproductive part is called gynoecium.
And we know that flowers are of 2 types. If the flower is bearing both male sex organ and female sex organ, the flower is said to be bisexual. But there are some flowers which will bear either male sex organ or female sex organ, and that flowers are said to be unisexual. In this unisexual flowers, it can be categorized into 2. If it bears male sex organ only, that flower is called staminate, and if it is bearing female sex organ only, the flower is said to be pistillate. Clear? So unisexual flowers are classified into staminate and pistillate, but in the case of bisexual flower, it will bear both male part and female part. So when we are observing a flower, there we can see different whorls such as calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, etc. We can categorize these whorls under 2 headings. They are essential whorl and non-essential whorl. What are essential whorl? What are non-essential whorl? How it got their name? That we can study next. So non-essential whorl means non-essential. They do not have a direct role in reproduction, but it has role things, but it is not directly involving reproduction. So they are called a non-essential whorl. Example for non-essential whorl are calyx and corolla. We know that what is the purpose of calyx? Calyx is protecting the flower in its bud condition. And corolla, we know that the flowers, we are loving flowers due to the attractive color, and that color is due to the presence of this attractive corolla. See, this corolla is highly attractive in order to attract insects, and we know that 80% of the flowers are pollinated with the help of insects, and insects are attracted towards this flower either due to its attractive color or due to the attractive smell. Clear? So corolla is bringing, so when these insects are entering into this flower, when the insects are visiting the flower, then only pollination will happen. So when the pollen is transferred from one flower to next flower, then only reproduction becomes effective, isn't it? So in order to bring this reproduction, Corolla is also have some sort of role, but it's not directly involving in reproduction. So these calyx and corolla are coming under non-essential part, but it has some sort of roles in reproduction also. Example for non-essential word are calyx and corolla. Each part of calyx is called sepal, each part of corolla is called petal. And we know that the common flower, that means a shoe flower, hibiscus, it's red in color, the corolla is red in color, and how many petals are there? 5 petals. And essential parts are, they are androecium and gynoecium, they are coming under essential part. When we are observing androecium, the whole stamen is collectively called androecium. And when we are observing each stamen, it has 2 parts. That means the 2 parts are anther, a bilobed anther, and also a long filament is present. Bilobed anther and filament, and the portion where this filament is connected to anther is called a connective. So there is a connective region or connecting link is there in between the anther and the filament. So that region is called connective. So anther and filament are together. Anther and filament are the 2 parts coming under stamen. All the stamens are collectively called androecium. Likewise, gynoecium is the female part, and the total pistil or carpel are together known as gynoecium. Suppose some flowers, usually the flower will bear single carpels, so that is called a monocarpellary. Sometimes it will bear more than 1 carpels, and that condition is called a multicarpellary. Anyway, the number of carpels, total number of carpel, its other name is pistil, is called a gynoecium. Total number of carpel or pistil is called a gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female part which bears pistil or carpel. Usually the flower will bear single carpel, and that condition is called monocarpellary. The flower is said to be monocarpellary. Sometimes the number of carpels will be more than 1. That condition is called multicarpellary. Clear? In this multicarpellary condition, if more than 1 carpels are present, it may be united or free. If it is a single carpel, there is no need to say whether it is united or free, isn't it? If more than 1 carpels are present, sometimes it may be united. All the carpels are united, or sometimes it are free. If the carpels are united, that condition is called a syncarpus. Yes, in syncarpus, the carpels are united. Example for syncarpus ovary is papaver. Papaver somniferum, which is an example for syncarpus ovary. Syncarpus means the carpels are united. In the case of apocarpus, the carpels are free. All the carpels are free. Example for apocarpus ovary is Mycelia. Mycelia chembagam. It's a plant that you know, chembagam, that can be seen around us. And when we are observing its flower, the carpels are free. So that carpel is said to be what? Apocarpus. Okay. So the diagram, these diagrams are given in your textbook also. You just observe the diagram very thoroughly, because the diagram may be given for your examination in your question paper. The diagrams will be given. You have to identify what is this diagram signify. So at that time you have to write whether it is apocarpus or syncarpus. Sometimes the diagram may be given, it should be labeled as A and B. So identify A and B and what is the difference between these two, A and B. So at that time you have to identify, this is apocarpus, this is syncarpus. Here the carpels are, in apocarpus the carpels are free, in syncarpus the carpels are united, and this is syncarpus, it's representing papaver, apocarpus is representing Mycelia, all these things. Okay, so that is about the syncarpus and the apocarpus. In the case of unicarpellary, that means if single carpel is present, monocarpellary condition, there is no need to say whether it is syncarpus or apocarpus. If it is multicarpellary, then we have to say syncarpus and apocarpus. Okay. The next comes the structure of pistil or carpel. So when we are observing the structure of pistil or carpel, it has 3 portions. Clear? The topmost portion, there is a flattened portion. There we can see the pollen grains are landing. So either with the help of wind, water or insects, anyone, either with the help of biotic agents or with the help of abiotic agents, pollen will land to the stigma, isn't it, during pollination, and that transfer is called what? Pollination. So pollen which is coming from the male part, pollen is coming from the male part, that will land onto this portion, this flattened portion, and this topmost flattened portion of the pistil is called a stigma. Okay, so stigma, which is the landing portion, landing platform for pollen. Followed by stigma, there we can see a narrow tube-like structure, and that narrow tube-like structure is called a style. Clear? So stigma is leading to style, and style it will end in a flattened portion. There we can see a flattened portion, and that flattened portion is called a ovary. Okay, so these are the three portions that can be seen in in pistil or carpel. Stigma, style, ovary. Clear? Stigma, topmost portion, style, which is a long tube, and the flattened portion is called a ovary. Clear? And after fertilization, that means when the pollen landed on the stigma, the pollen male gamete will enter inside the style, and male gamete will fuse with the female gamete, that is called the fertilization. Or after this fertilization, ovary turns to fruits. Flowers, plants are bearing what? Fruits. Okay, so which becomes fruits? Ovary turns to become fruits, and inside the ovary we can see ovules, and ovule becomes what? Seed.
Dear children, we will continue this portion on next class. Today's class is over. Try to watch the videos on the same day itself. Based on this video, you have to prepare the notes. Questions will be discussed on the Zoom class. Submit the notes before 5 p.m.